This message is about generosity. It's about an attitude of generosity, for we know well that our overall philosophy of life affects everything we do. And mine really was begun in my youth and childhood. We had an allowance as children, and it was simply expected that we would donate part of that to our congregation, our church. And so that was part of my formative years. Got married, and there came the first paycheck from the parishes that John was serving. And we had not talked about what we were going to do. And so after some rather delicate time between us not knowing what to say to one another, after all, we were newlyweds, we realized that both of us had a pattern of tithing. And that's what we did. 10% right off the top of whatever that meager check must have been. Fast forward a few years, we continued to be generous to our church and to a multitude of other organizations, aid advocacy groups, charitable groups that we valued. And we always did it very carefully and very thoughtfully. And it was good. And then about a dozen years ago, maybe it was 15, neither of us can remember, we made an intentional shift from an overall philosophy of scarcity to abundance. Now, we're still working on it, and we don't keep it completely, and it took us a while to live into it. It was a seismic change in how we view life, and how we view people, and in this case, how we view resources. Now, the results of who received the money, who received our services and enjoyment of people, probably was not greatly changed. But our internal life changed from scarcity to abundance. It's a change that now, like I say, we're still living into it, but it has been such a good change. Now back to generosity. You see, rather than giving because we should, or it was a good idea, or an appropriate thing, a member of the part of the community and a part of our congregations, of the churches, we did it out of abundance. We do it. We changed to doing it out of an attitude of generosity. And here you've just heard my testimony of a positive influence. It has changed our relationship to material goods and our relationship to people. We start, our default setting is of abundance and generosity. And I commend it to anybody. And it sets the tone for our life, for it is true. And this is actually what God would have us, what Jesus the Christ would have done. Think of the story of the boy with the fish and the bread. He was the only one in that big crowd that said, "Here, have it, I've got plenty." And Jesus affirmed that attitude of this child that the adults around him were not practicing. That child was generous. And Jesus recognized that attitude of generosity. So it's biblical as well as whatever this person on your screen is saying. Our philosophy affects our lives. Our Christian-based philosophy does. Thank you for listening.